You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into...
Deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer. Because too many others know what's happening out there. And no one, no government agency has jurisdiction over the truth.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Eric.
And the truth shall set you free!
Welcome, everybody, to 8192 The Truth. This is Joel D. Supernaw for my partner, Brother Sin, Kevin Sinier. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to get back to the basics. I'm actually at my club, Stafford Hills Club. I talk about Stafford Hills quite a bit. And a very good friend of mine, talked about him last week, gave him a rub. He told me I needed to give him a rub before he would come on the show. Tony Tolinar is here. And I'll get to Tony in a second. And the reason I grabbed him mid-workout was we've got a lot of new listeners. We've got a lot of people coming over and listening to the show. And I want to make sure you guys know what we're doing here. I kind of wanted to get back to the basics because there's a lot of people coming over from Chael's show expected me to do the song and dance for you. Cut a bit, cut a promo, be a wild man. You're going to get some of that. You got to look at it more like you're pining for gold. And, man, you're going to get a lot of sand. You're going to get a lot of sand, and then, boom, I'll hit you with some gold. That's really how this show is. When I decided to do this show, when I thought about doing the show, it was well before I kind of became a mainstay on Chael's show. And that character, which is a part of me. That character is a part of me. But could you imagine going through life like that guy? Could you imagine if I was 24/7 cutting promos everywhere in the world? No, that wouldn't. But you guys love that. You guys love that because it's unique, it's different. It's kind of like peeking into the wild and seeing Sasquatch. But man, that's only a part of me. And Tony, yeah, I'm glad he's here because literally, I knew Tony for probably a year and a half to 2 years before we ever spoke. I work out hard. When I come to the gym, I generally work out hard. I dress different. I act different. And I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of friends up here at the Stafford Hills Club. And once, me and Tony started seeing, hey, man, we're going through the same thing. That guy's going up and down and up and down and up and down. And one day we just started rapping in the hot tub. And within a half hour, I probably stayed 45 minutes the first time. Within a half hour, I was like, oh, my God. I thought I was the only person on the world that goes up and down and struggles more with trying to be perfect than, the 6 and 7 hour, the ability to do 6 and 7 hour workouts or starting a program and having instant success and within 45 days looking like a new person and then 45 days from there looking worse than the starting thing. I thought I was the only person that really went through that. I thought I was the only person that would take myself off of a program I was being successful with and stop it and start over. Before I get to Tony, I was literally thinking that what is this show about? And today it's back to the basics. This show is about self-improvement. This show is about me and you, the crowd, because we're nobody. I'm nobody. I'm nobody. If you guys give me an hour of your time, man, that's cool. That's cool. And there's a lot of you giving me an hour of your time. But I'm not trying to be anybody I'm not. I'm a 51-year-old man trying to get healthier, get better, and still achieve goals. That's what this whole thing's about. This whole thing is about that, and it's about all of the people around you that tell you every single day that you can't do something. You can't get a better job. You can't get more money. You can't quit smoking, you can't quit drinking, you can't do anything. Man, this is about looking at them tomorrow and saying, "Nah, I'm out. I'm not out of dreaming, but I'm out of listening to you because you're not giving me any support. I'm going to have to get it from myself. And if I can't get it from myself, I'll go listen to the madman at 8192 The Truth." Right now, I got here again. You guys lived through me with what's going on. You know what's going on. I'm back here. I'm staying with Miss H. It's great. She's cooking up a storm. And I have 40 days left in my program. I had a 90-day program. I started on January 1st. And I'm like, oh, man, I had a couple bad weeks. I'll just start over. I literally was thinking this. I was just an hour and a half ago. I was literally thinking this, and I was like, "That's crazy. Why would I start over? I still got 40 days left to finish a very, very strong program. So out of 90 days, if I had 20 bad days, am I going to have success at the end of it? Do you feel that, Tony?
Well, let me go ahead and squash this whole rub piece. First off, I did not say the Godfather had to give me a rub before I'd come on the show. I just want to get that out there. Dude, that is ridiculous. But anyways, I think it's, do you have a plan? I should clarify, I am by no means a personal trainer, nor have I ever claimed to be. But I can tell you that if you're somebody who struggles with anything in your life, right? Going up and down, Joel talks about, I know he's referencing weight. That's a challenge that I've had my entire life, man. I'll lean up and then seem to throw it all away as things get back to comfortable. You know, you have a tendency to get comfortable at times and you lose kind of focus, you lose sight of the plan.
The things that we used to talk about is we talked about them. It's easy to talk to each other about a workout program when we're on one, like we're both right now grinding. So it's easy to see you around here and be like, okay, what are you doing? You've got a bunch of new stuff going on with your job. You can't be here as much as you were before. I'm here. I'm either working out or I'm hanging out or I'm podding up here. But the difference is, how hard is it to talk to you when you're doing well and I'm not? You're the last person I want to talk to. You see what I'm saying? If I'm coming over here to just get in the hot tub, I've already had a bad meal. I've already wiped off the day. I can't wait to, the depression's here, everything's here, and I see you in turbo mode. You're the last person I want to see. You're the last person I want to see. That's a challenge when you vibe off of somebody. It's like, and I've seen it the other way too, where it's been the other way around. So it's easy to talk about, hey, what are we going to do this week? What are we going to do this week? What do you got going on? Tony likes to walk 6 miles a day as a part of his program. With 6 miles, that's crazy. That's a huge, huge number. But what is it that you want to accomplish right now? And I don't know. We haven't really visited that much. You've started listening to the show. I appreciate that. What are you? And this is again, man. I wrote this stuff down. Where are you? Where are you going? What do you want? And what's stopping you? Usually the last thing is we're stopping ourselves. Usually the only person that can ever stop us from doing what we want is ourselves. And these are the things, this is why I thought it'd be good to have you up, is where I'm going, man, I already had a program. I only got 40 days left in my program, and I'm sitting here, Tony, and you'll understand this. I'm thinking of quitting my program because I wasn't perfect, because I ate bad for 2 weeks. After I'm 50 days in, this is the mindset that we've lived our life by. Is that? I mean,
no, I agree. I think those are 4 actually really good questions. You ask yourself, where are you? I think that's the first assessment, right? You really have to find out where you are. Are you in a good place, a bad place? Are you ready to move forward with a plan? And I think plans are great. I'll be perfectly honest with you, man. I'm not great at following a plan. So for me, I've always had to identify with what works for me, right? What's the piece for me that I can get the most out of something? And for me, it's always been, what works for me is it's the 6 miles a day, right? So I found out for myself that for me to stay with something, I needed to have a target, something that I could hit daily. So I walk a minimum of 6 miles a day. My day looks different every day. I've got stuff early on in the morning. Sometimes I only have time to get in 2 miles, but I'll tell you what, I will get that 4 miles in somewhere else.
I did not know this. I thought you were a very, very regimented person, that you were always on, you were either on a program or off of a program. So what you're telling me is you found your weakness. And I can see that with knowing you. I got you involved in that MyZone thing. You did 5 million. You did 5 million MyZone points in a month, but somehow your wife did 6 million, and it drove you crazy because her body's different. Yeah. She scores more points for doing less work, and it drove you nuts. Yeah. Is that a fair statement? So what I'm saying is, programs for you, they don't work. Because you're trying to be perfect. You're trying to be the best inside that program. So what you're saying is you've given up. You said, I'm going to walk 6 miles a day, and if I can do my other things around this, if I can put my diet around this, my nutrition around this, if I can, you play a bunch of pickleball. We'll talk about that. And then the other stuff, you get the gym, the lifting, and this, that, and other. Then now you have a whole program. But what you're saying is, unless you're hurt, you won't give up on that 6 miles a day.
Correct. God, that's interesting. I think, just to give a little background, so I've done 4 Ironmans, and every one of those Ironmans I did, I was probably 20, 25 pounds heavier than I would like to have been. Part of that was as I came into training, with that critical part of training time, when I am going to follow a plan, right? So there are certain times you've got to follow some structure.
Okay, sure.
You got to follow some structure. But I came into that a little bit heavy. People's assumption is oh wow, you're going to do an Ironman, you're going to train for an Ironman, you're going to lose a bunch of weight. Well, that's not the case, because if you're not replenishing those calories after your workouts, your next workout is a nightmare. So I typically would come in and maybe lose 5 to 10 pounds during training, but I still, by the time I got to race day, I was still standing on the beach 20 pounds heavier, 25 pounds heavier than I really would like to have been. A lot of that for me was diet. There's some reality to that, right? I didn't always balance my diet with my activity output. So if I was injured, and I'll tell you, as I get older, there's little things that pop up every once in a while, and I had to decrease my activity output. I didn't necessarily decrease my Haagen-Dazs at night, which is reality for me. I love ice cream. And sometimes I love it at 10 o'clock at night, right? So those are certain things, those battles you got to pick and choose. But I think the most important piece is that for me, I understand why people go to trainers and they don't have a background maybe in just how to properly use equipment or how to start a program. I've been fortunate enough to, I've played sports my entire life. I'm very driven. And for me, I've had to identify, and this has really happened to me in the last probably couple years, and some of us from our time spend in the hot tub just finding what kind of drives each other and what you get inspired by. And for myself, it was understanding that I had to find something for me that worked. For me, it was 6 miles. That 6 miles works for me. The reality is that 6 miles is going to happen whether I play 4 hours of pickleball, whether I go to a spin class, and then I come back to the gym later on and get some, and do some TRX workout. I do not include that 6 miles as part of my workout mentality, or how I drive myself. That 6 miles is a life change for me. That's something that worked for me. That was a trigger for me. I've also noticed when I feel better about myself after I walk, you lose some weight, you have more confidence, right? So you start looking at the things, where are you, man? Are you setting with confidence? You need more confidence. I can tell you these type of things can really help position you and drive you in the right, at least into the right behaviors. Now, I'm not perfect. I still have my choke-ups, but I'm 100% headed in the right direction.
Okay, so again, we haven't had a chance to visit since I've been back. I would, in looking at you from afar, I would say that you're getting back in, like you fell behind a little bit, and now because your intensity is where that training intensity is. I think the difference between, there's two kinds of people that exercise. There's people that exercise, and if they can stay fit doing exercise, God bless them. I've never been able to. My brother stays fit exercising. He'll ride a bike, he'll go for a run, he'll do something in the water, he'll do windsurfing. He exercises, eats relatively well, and he stays healthy. He stays very, very healthy. Never really struggled with weight. I can't do that. I have to be training. And when I watch you go as hard as you do, doing the things that you do, I could say, okay, that guy's training as well. I would say, am I right to assume that right now you're kind of where I am? You're back catching your groove right now.
Yeah, and I think part of that for me is about 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, I had a little bit of a back injury where I messed up one of the discs in my back, so I was shut down for about 2 to 3 months. Again, perfect example of I didn't really adjust my eating to my inability to exercise, because at that point, I had to go and have a cortisone shot in my back, whatever that happened to look like. Walking was, to walk a quarter mile was a challenge. So there was a period of time where I couldn't walk my 6. So my goal all along was to get back to 6. And I've been back there now for good couple months, and it's making all the difference in the world.
Okay, and do you do that when you're traveling as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
How you just got a little GPS thing that you go out?
No, I've walked enough to know that, hey, if I am walking with purpose and intent, I can walk easily about anywhere between an hour and 37, hour and 42 minutes. So if I don't have a GPS with me, if I don't have something like that, then I know I can put in that time and I'm going to get in those miles. I think it's one of those things. It's not so much that I count the miles. I try to make the miles count, if that makes sense. Uh-huh. So I don't go out for time. I really want to go out and really push through those 6 miles, because for me that's the trigger. That's what starts and makes me feel like I've completed what I wanted to that day, whether that's the only thing I do.
Sure.
But it's very purposeful. Those 6 miles, I don't miss them, but I do break them up. It doesn't have to be 6 at one time, because that's a chunk of time to set aside your day. But
sure.
if you can just commit to find something that works. It doesn't have to be walking, but for me, that was the piece that I had been missing. I needed to find something that triggered me and drove me and really pushed me. One
of the things that I've noticed with myself, again, and this whole thing is just a journey to see if I can figure something out and inspire people to kind of help them figure something out. For me, the mindset of one day, you're either a day in or a day out, that has brought me back in so many times. And again, I forget about that. I forget about that mindset all the time, because I've got 49 and a half years of bad habits. You need to be perfect or you failed. You need to do every single workout as hard as you possibly can, or you failed. You need to eat perfect or you failed. When age kind of got to me and said, well, I really am a little bit different now. I really have to make adjustments. The one thing that I came to was I'm either a day in or a day out. And right now, I've just finished a workout. I've eaten well today. Okay, so I gotta fight Miss H's beautiful cooking when I get home. But right now I'm a day in. And if I can just hold on to that, primarily for the next 40 days, because on a 90-day program, that's over halfway. But you know as well as I do, how much ground can we make up in 40 days? How much success can you or I or everybody listen to me? Because I guarantee I'm not the only one that got off track from my New Year, because we're talking about a New Year's. Everybody, a lot of people like myself had 90 days. I'm 40 days out. Where are you at? Where are you guys at? Are you guys floating? Have you quit? Like me, mentally, I was like, all right, I need a new plan. This just happened today. I was just like, all right, I got to come up with a new plan. And I was like, why you've worked out almost every single day. You're just not eating right. And you wake up depressed because you put all that sugar in your body. That it's you're poisoning yourself. I'm not drinking. I'm not chewing. I'm not poisoning myself with anything other than really good fat food. And I wake up, and again, it was a process to get here. It's a process to get to this podcast. And that process is the 2 hours that I exercise, and now I'm like, okay, all right. And that's one thing about you can change your attitude in 10 minutes. I think, people like us, we've talked about this, we think we need to work so hard to change our attitude. We need to change our attitude. We need to look better. We need to dress better. Everything needs to be perfect before we can say, hey, good job. Whereas the reality is, you can change in 10 minutes as soon as you decide to do something. So for me, one day in and one day out has been a powerful slogan. Do you kind of find yourself in that same thing where you're like, I need to do this and I need to do that, and then you're like, well, no, I don't. I just got a good day. I just need to do that tomorrow.
I think it's interesting. The first time I had really heard that, one day in, one day out was on one of your previous podcasts, and that definitely stuck with me. It's interesting because, I think we all live in a world of trying to be perfect, and nobody is perfect. There's only one person in this world that's perfect, and he built this. But it's one of these pieces where the reality is you've got to have it's a mindset change. It really is. It's just finding out what works and what you're driven by, man. You don't, just because you fall off a plan after 30 days, one day doesn't mean your plan's gone. Doesn't mean you have to start all over. Man, just find out what it is that makes you feel good, right? That's 6 miles for me. I can have a bad eating day, and I know when I get up the next morning, whether I'm going to walk at 3:30 that morning or 5:30 or on my lunch, that's the start of another great day for me. So it's really about identifying. Just find something that works for you, man. I'm very fortunate to have a wife that's a phenomenal athlete. She's also very driven about her exercise and workout, but she is no different. She'll battle some of the same things, but she'll get right back on every time, and she pushes me. It's interesting because I'm 51 now, and I find myself a lot of what I do exercise-wise because I want to be the best I could be for Kim. The reality is I should have been doing this all along, but it's just now I'm figuring it out, right? I feel like I always have been, but there's also a reality that maybe that was never my purpose. And now I'm realizing, wow, it's never too late, man. It's never too late to improve and make an improvement.
It's never too late to say today's the day. It's never too late to say, again, man, you could be halfway through a bad day. You could be listening to this right now, halfway through a bad day. Well, the reality is, here's what I found out. What I found about myself is if I'm in a hole, I don't want anybody to throw me a shovel. I don't want any dirt. I just want to figure out how I can get out of that hole by myself. And it's poison thinking. So what I'm saying is if I'm giving you some positive advice, if I'm on fire, hey man, I just had 21 days in a row and everything's great. If it's my first time listening to the show and I'm in a hole, I'm not going to listen to myself. I'm going to be like, okay, maybe I've got to feel good I've got to mentally feel good before I can listen to anything positive. Does that make any sense? I mean, it doesn't make any sense, but it's like the fitness magazine. If I'm off track, the last thing I'm going to do is pick up and read about a 14-day ab workout or tricep workout or a triathlon run or whatever. I do not want to see that. Whereas if I'm living right and I'm living healthy and I'm feeling good about myself, I can engage in that. One of the things that I did today, and again, I like to play games, is I just started smiling. I started working out, I put the music on, I just started smiling. And you know what happened? I started feeling better.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I started feeling better because I can mean mug around this place all day long and get a workout in, and only thing I would get from it was the high that you're going to get from the endorphins, as opposed to, you know what, I really enjoyed myself today. And the only reason I enjoyed myself, and the only reason I knew I was enjoying myself, is because I had a smile on my face. And I put it on my face until it was real. Nothing?
Interesting.
Yeah, we think about calling this show The Ramblings of a Madman.
That's good. It's interesting you say that. It's amazing about smiling, but I just want to go back. You touch on a piece about when you feel like you failed, or you feel like you're missing something. The last thing you want to do is see me excelling or having a great
exactly,
workout,
doing
right?
well.
It's interesting because I'm flip side of that. So you don't even realize it, but you were in Kansas City for how many ever months? 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, whatever it was. There were periodic times that I reached out to you just through quick text, checking in. How are you doing? That's because I was typically finding myself struggling back in the hot tub. No Joel, trying to get started. Hey, I remember the days, before one of my workouts, I see Joel out here. So for me, those were those pieces that could kind of take me back to areas when I was having success. And I believe that everybody you need either somebody or something that can get you back there. It's okay sometimes to call somebody, man, this is a drag. You need that sometimes. Or sometimes it's just, man, I'm a guy that will pick up a fitness magazine and get some inspiration off of reading about somebody, whether they've had a challenge or some of the weaknesses that they may have and they've been able to overcome. I think everyone's driven by different things. I'm not too proud of a person to say, hey, man, I can do it all on my own. And because doing it on my own has never worked.
Sure.
It's never worked.
Sure.
I sure think it can sometimes, but it doesn't work.
That's the one thing about the further, what I found is the further I get outside of my comfort zone, the more success I'm going to have, as long as I've got boundaries. So if I look at, and I had a lot of people give me grief about spin class. Go do a spin class is what I'm saying, is go ahead and go do a spin class, whether you want to just grind on your own and stay in there for an hour. You're going to get 17 to 20 miles. That's a nice, good ride. Or you're going to listen to the instructor and do exactly what they say. When you get out of it, the way I feel is I just stole one. I didn't have to. All I did, I just turned it over to them. Or for me, even if I didn't turn it over, if I went in that room, I know I'm not going to leave for an hour. Right. I'm not going to leave for an hour and start doing a circuit and think I can get a workout in. Spin's been great for me. I don't think I ever took a spin class until I started doing it here. And one of the reasons I did, and you might have been in my very first class, is I was like, Jesus Christ, that guy's going to beat all hell. And I couldn't go that way. I couldn't get off and go that hard. And I was like, okay, well then there's something to this. And so I challenge the listeners. Everybody thinks when you start a new program, you gotta do everything right. If you belong to a club and they have a spin class, go to spin class every day for a week. Go to spin class every day for a week, because people don't realize the only thing that's going to hurt is your ass and your legs. Your joints aren't going to hurt. You're not going to hurt yourself. Generally, I mean, if you're carrying a ton of weight, no matter what you do, is going to be hard. But for me, and we talk about it all the time, there's some really, really good spin instructors here, let's go get that hour. Yeah. Let's go get that hour, and then if I can get a lift later today, you and doing your 6 hours, and you're super, super active with pickleball. I'm going to have you back on the show. I can actually dedicate a whole hour to pickleball because I think it's fascinating. This is a big, it's starting to be a more diverse listening group, but the base for this group is mixed martial arts, and mixed martial arts is cage fighting.
Sure.
I guarantee if you were look at the numbers of pickleball participants and mixed martial art participants, I bet they're not very different. I don't know. I don't know what the numbers are.
Significantly different.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the fastest growing sport in the U.S., outpacing lacrosse.
Oh, pickleball is.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's legit, but a great game with funny name.
But again, I want to have you on and talk about that. I know you're going to go back and you're going to be like, I want to talk about this, and this. I want to be prepared. You're going to be Turbo Tony. That's what you are in my phone. But I mean, today I really just wanted to kind of reach out to the new listeners and say, hey, man, I'm gonna actually cut a promo here in a second. So if you're still listening to me, you'll go ahead and enjoy this part of it. But this podcast it's about one thing. It's about change. It's about change, and it's about, the 8192 is just 4 numbers. We said it had to mean something. It meant man up. So it means man up, girl up, do right. Do right. Get yourself off the deck and don't quit. But the core to this thing, see, I don't want to talk about mixed martial arts every day. We had a huge number boost from me going on Chael Show last week. Well, but before that, we had some big numbers come in that were outside of that market. I'm not here to do an MMA show. I'm going to talk about what happened yesterday because it was insanity to me, and I think you'll enjoy it. But at the end of the day, I appreciate you guys coming over from Chael's show, but if you think I'm going to talk about mixed martial arts every single show, I'm not. You can unsubscribe and you can basically piss off. Or you can stay with me. I'm not looking. There's such a big market of people between 30 and 60 that don't think they should be done in life. That I believe I can say things like that. I'm not going to cater to a certain demographic because this is what I want. I want to do a show about change. This is what I would listen to. Truthfully, I would listen to dude talk about, man, what am I going through and how am I gonna get through there? We all have so much. We all have so much shit that we have to deal with. We have to deal with finance. That's 75% of this world, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's 75. We wake up and how am I going to afford X? How am I going to do that? That doesn't leave much time for yourself. If 75% of your time is spent worrying about finances, at least 25%, well, you sleep that much. So now you don't have anything, right? Now you don't have anything. So you have to figure out the only time your health is going to be mandatory is when somebody tells you you're about to lose it. I have a very, very good friend. I talked about him last week. He's done everything right in the world. He's 51 years old, my buddy, and he got prostate cancer. And now he's battling prostate cancer. Now he's taking care of himself. He's done all the right things. I guess my point is you've got to find some time for yourself. You've got to find some time to get healthy, or try to. And if you're not going to try to get healthy, man, this ain't the show for you. This I could start with the Donald Cerrone take, and you'll enjoy that. But the reality is, this show's about change. I'm trying here. I'm not perfect at all. I'm nobody. I'm nobody.
I'd like to leave with one piece, and it took me a long time to finally get this part, but everyone deserves the right and has the right to feel good about themselves, to feel good about what they do every day. And some days are a struggle, right? But everybody has the right to feel good about themselves and to feel good about what they do every day. And a lot of times it's just identifying with something that can help get you there. And it might not maybe 1 mile a day. Someone might find just walking 1 mile a day gets them there, man. The big piece is you just find it, and go with it and stick to that one piece. Make it simple. This does not have to be difficult, but you deserve the right, and that's the honest truth. You deserve the right to feel good about yourself and to feel good about what you do every day. Nobody should be able to ever take that away from you.
Including yourself.
Absolutely. And sometimes that's your biggest battle.
I am 100% my biggest enemy. I have a belief, and it took me a long time. Again, and this my dad used to say, it's a shame you can't live life backwards. The older I get, the more pertinent that is to me. Things I can see clearly now, I didn't see 6 months ago. Obviously I'm doing different things now, but the one thing that I believe in, I truly believe in, is the second you decide to change, the process of change has started. And it took me a long time to figure that out, Tony. It took me a long time to say, I'm empowered right now because I'm not drinking. I'm empowered right now. I haven't even talked to the listeners about, I quit chewing in Kansas City after 28 years of chewing tobacco. And because I did it the way I did it, and I didn't make it a big deal, and it just kind of happened, I haven't congratulated myself on that. That was huge. That was a big deal. But my point is that we think we don't get to change until we've put in the work. Until we've put in the work. And the reality is you, and you're just saying this, I'm kind of just piggybacking it, is the second you decide to change, you are in the process of change, and you deserve to feel good about yourself.
Absolutely.
You want to take away the negative things you're doing in your life, replace them with positive things. That formula generally works. There's not a lot of people in life that if they threw all their stuff on a table and said, okay, well, that's bad, and that's bad, and that's bad, and then took one off and replaced it with something positive and good, whatever that was whether it was mental, physical, spiritual, that at the end of the day, when that table's full of good and positive things, when they look around their life, they're going to be looking at success. So that's it, man. That's it on that. I am going to, you know what? I'm not. I'm just going to close it here because the Donald Cerrone, hugging a guy and then kicking him in the head, that whole program. I need to get jazzed up and start a podcast with something so crazy like. Did this other guy not have any coaches? Like this guy, Tony, Donald Cerrone, they call him the Cowboy.
Yep.
Okay. He's famous for giving you hugs and high fives in the middle of a fight. In the middle of a fight. Couple fights ago, he's in a third round slobber knocker. He gets the other guy to start the final round with a hug. He hugs him. And then you know what he does about 10 seconds later? He kicks him in the head. Okay? It's the craziest thing in sports. And I want to know why anyone, I'm going to cut a big piece on this because I need to know why that would appeal to anybody. I need to know how something so crazy would appeal. It was so bad. So he suckers these people in. This guy, he suckers them in because that's his gimmick. He doesn't even know he's doing it. Yeah. Everybody else knows he's doing it. So he does it to this kid yesterday. Gets a little hug on in the first round, knocks him out with 1 second left to go, and then brings him over and loves him up, and then tells him, hey, go give my grandma some love. So the dude jumps out of the cage into the crowd and starts loving on grandma. And people are reacting like this is a cool thing, like this is a positive thing. Like, dude, he just slayed you. He just slayed you and made you his boy. And he said, go fetch. He said, go fetch. And Yancey went and fetched. I want to know who this appeals to. It's just like you pickleball. You play pickleball. It's a variation of tennis. We'll talk more about it. But it's very competitive. You are very, very good at this. Could you imagine, and I don't know what pickleball is, okay, but I know it's a competition. Could you imagine at the end of a point walking over to your opponent and giving them a hug and a high five and saying, great job, man, that was a great point. That was a great point. Does that sound crazy to you?
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
Okay, so I'm gonna get into that on the next show. I'm gonna go back and finish up my workout. I hope you listen to this. I think there's some good things here. I grabbed Tony out of the hot tub. I said, let's go pod. So I'm going to give him the okay whether we run this or not. So we'll see what we got. Listen, guys. Don't you like it how I don't always throw sponsors at you? Don't you like it how I don't do that? Do you know why I don't do that? Do you know why I'm not cutting a sponsorship right now? It's not because we don't have them. It's because when I tell a sponsor story, I want to mean it. I want to believe in it. When I tell you about Carfax or Equifax.com, I want to tell you a real story. Those guys, those sponsors have allowed me to do that. Man, this is a sponsor-free show today. So Brother Sin, don't jump on and piggyback on it. Peace.
What's up, guys? Kevin here. Normally Brother Sin, but today not really feeling the nicknames and the comical elements of our show. We've had a lot of terrible stuff going on in this nation for some time now. The last was the Florida school shootings, and I discussed that on a show separately, but we each gave our take. And this morning, in my school district here, in another upper middle class suburban school district, we didn't have a mass shooting, but we had a 6th grade middle schooler somehow get a rifle into the school with other explosive devices in his backpack. He proceeded to go into a restroom and shot himself. I am heartbroken about this. It's very sad on many fronts. One being the world where any 11-year-old boy at any point feels that the only answer or the proper answer or the necessary solution to whatever is going on in his world is to take his own life is horrific. 11 years old. I can't remember a single thing in my life at 11 years old that I would have ever, for any reason, considered bad enough to take my own life. Thinking back, I don't even know if I realized what suicide or taking your own life meant at 11 years old. Our society has become so turbulent, so desensitized, so changed, and not in a good way. I've seen people mention it before, and when I talk to people that I trust and value their opinions and people that I care about, the feedback that they give me, especially those who are teachers, that the social media, the online interaction, the internet, there is no way for kids to ever turn it off. Yeah, there was probably bullying back when I was 11 and in junior high or 6th grade. I don't remember, but I'm sure it probably happened. But at the end of the day, you went home, and if nothing else, most times you didn't have to deal with it for the rest of that evening. And maybe when you came back tomorrow, it would be forgotten and it wouldn't happen again. But now these kids are attached to their phones, they're attached to Facebook, they're attached to everything. So the bullying, the harassment, whatever it is, it's nonstop. It's 24/7. There is no break. It is causing these children to have mental illnesses. It is causing them to see the world in a completely different manner than what I saw as an 11-year-old 26 years ago. The fact that any child of that age could feel that desolate, that desperate, that alone is devastating to me. Now, my kids aren't quite that old, but I've got 3 and a 4th coming. I don't want that to be the world that they grow up in. My oldest is 6. She goes to school. I had to have a talk with her today about why the school was locked down and why she couldn't go. I tried not to be graphic, but I wanted to be honest with her. And at least I'm very glad at her innocent, naive 6 years of age. Her first question was, why would anyone ever want to do that to themselves? So I hope her thought process stays that way. I hope that I can raise her in a loving, nurturing environment, that she never thinks otherwise, that is the only way that she thinks about the true beauty and value of her life, that why would anyone ever want to do that to themselves? I feel for that family, for those parents. But I'm also angry at those parents. I'm angry that someone, A, would have guns accessible to their children, and B, allow their children to leave the house in the morning unchecked, unfettered, not checking in on them, not hugging them, whatever it may be, that you wouldn't notice that an 11-year-old took a rifle, not a Glock, not a Beretta, a rifle. How they got a rifle out of the house and into the school. How do you allow a child to leave the home on a school day with a rifle and not catch that? How do you allow those weapons to be accessible by your children? Now, I am not an anti-gun advocate. I believe in the Second Amendment. I know a lot of hunters. I know a lot of very responsible people that own guns and they handle them responsibly. However, I would never, for any reason in my life, ever consider having a firearm in my house unless I had one of those barometric, or whatever they call them, safes that operated off of my fingerprint and my fingerprint only. And yes, I would probably explain to my children about guns, show them how to use them, how dangerous they are, how powerful and deadly they are, teach them safety around those weapons. But I still don't think I would put them anywhere that they would ever know about them. I'd make sure that if they ever found them, they understood the danger and the death that can be caused by a firearm. But I still wouldn't put them anywhere that they could access them. So though I feel for those parents, I'm very angry. I'm very angry that those parents, for whatever amount of negligence that they had, to put every other student and every other family in that school at risk. I do have relatives in that school, in that grade, nephews, whom I first thought this morning I was heartbroken, wondering who it was, what had happened. I wanted to make sure that they were safe. This cannot go on. We have a problem in society. An absolute problem. Is it a gun problem? Perhaps. A problem meriting the banning of all guns? I don't believe so. Certain types of guns? Maybe. The gun ownership and application process most certainly needs amended. However, it is not a gun problem. It is a family problem. It is a society problem. Parents are not parenting. They are caught up in whatever their world involves, and they are not paying attention to their children. They are not nurturing their children. They are not caring for and watching their children. They are not being disciplinarians to their children. They are more concerned about their children having feelings and their children having freedoms. That is wrong. I love my children, but I am the parent. I am the adult. I know more. They don't get opinions. They don't have rights. I respect them and I take care of them, but I'm sorry, they are children. They don't have rights. We are to the point where children are running all over their parents, and parents have given up. They have given up their responsibilities in raising their children. They are not taking the time to put their heart into parenting. So many are doing the minimum required job, and they are not being parental. You can be a parent and not be parental, and that's what is happening. It needs to change. This is a problem, a pattern that has subtly made its way into American culture, into American society, and it needs to change. We cannot continue to put our children and everyone else's children at risk by allowing this behavior. It needs to change. We've got a listener to the show, one that I've become very good friends with, a Mr. Brian Little. He is a teacher down in Texas, and I often turn to him for questions of faith and how he sees things. And when I have questions, when I have concerns about things going on in the world, things going on in my life, I turn to him because honestly, he's a better man of faith than me. I try very hard, but I can openly admit he is a more genuine, more sincere, better man of faith. So I ask him, especially because he is a middle school teacher, what is going on in the world of these children, of these kids, that this is happening? And he's made it very clear. He references what I just said, that it is a parenting problem. First and foremost, a parenting problem and a heart problem. No one is standing up to their children. No one is doing their parental job. And not no one, but many. Many are not doing their job. Between the lack of parenting, the lack of involvement, the lack of blocking social media, blocking internet from their children's lives, this problem is snowballing more and more and more. It needs to stop. I don't have all the answers, but I certainly want to try. On a practical safety sense, first and foremost, every school nationwide, whether inner city or upper middle class suburban or Manhattan high-end private school, we need metal detectors. Every school. You know, I've debated a little bit online with some people about that and how they don't feel it's practical. And one friend mentioned, he said, what you're proposing would make every school day, would make every school nationwide have a process longer than TSA at the airport. I don't think it's that bad, but maybe, and if that's what it takes, so be it. Eventually, the process, the vetting, day after day, it will wear people down and the problem may take care of itself. People won't risk it. Now, my daughter's school in the same district, I think they operate a little differently than the middle school, but the elementary school, because the children are smaller, you cannot get into the building. They have reinforced doors. They have a call box. You have to identify yourself, show ID, have a very good reason for coming into the building before they would buzz you in. And even then, you go directly into the office. You cannot just walk into the school. And in that office, directly inside the door, they have a full uniform, fully weaponed police officer all day, every day. That is the presence in the situation that needs to be in every school nationwide. Is it a shame that it needs to be that way? Yes, it is. But that's the way it needs to be. We must take every measure possible to protect our children. And Mr. Trump, Mr. President Trump, I have openly supported you without question since day one of your campaign. You were my guy. I voted for you, good or bad. I helped put you in office. I was for very much of your campaign initiatives, your promises, your agenda. But right now, ignore it all. Our children need you. Would I like seeing that wall keeping illegal immigrants, keeping criminals, keeping anybody that shouldn't be in this country legally and properly through the proper channels? Would I like to see them kept out until they go through those channels? Yes. But what good is an illegal, violent, immigrant-free country if my children are not safe from the 100% American citizen neighbor living next door, the kid next door? What does it matter at that point? Forget about the wall. Forget about clearing your name from Russia. Forget about everything else. Please devote your time and your resources to fixing this problem via certain gun regulations, but more importantly, find the money to put metal detectors and an armed police officer in every school nationwide. Find the money. That is your job, and that is what I am asking you. So if you're listening, sir, make this your top priority. And for you, Elon Musk, for you, Mark Cuban, for you, Bill Gates, you want to spend this money healing people in Africa, building a tunnel under LA to eliminate traffic. You want to send people to Mars and put people in space, whatever it is that you guys are spending your billions of dollars on. How about you put that money back into America? Put it back into the schools. You have the money. Get together. Create a foundation. Put proper metal detectors and safety protocols in every school across the nation. I feel that is your obligation. You have made your millions off of the backs of stockholders, consumers, whoever else it may be. Now it is time for you to give back in a proper way. We don't need to send people to Mars today. We don't need a tunnel built under LA today. We need to protect our children. You have the means to do so. So do it. To hell with Shark Tank. To hell with investing money in the next Scrub Daddy or the next paddleboard workout video program or the next scented candle company. To hell with those. Devote your millions and your billions to protecting our children. If there is no one in line to come after us, then everything else is pointless. So take this to heart. Any of you that listen, that have a means or a way to speak up at your local PTAs, to speak up at your school boards, to help create initiatives to get this done, to find donations, whatever it may be. Every one of your children deserves to feel safe. You deserve to feel safe when you send your children to school. Get involved. Help make it happen. And I know we've got great listeners, so I know you're all great parents, but continue to do so. Don't worry about being your child's friend. Don't worry about them being angry with you. Don't worry about overstepping your bounds and infringing on their rights. They are children. You certainly know better. You have been around the block more than them. You know the consequences. Continue to be strong-willed parents. Raise them in an environment that they would never need to nor consider wanting to harm themselves or anyone else. Teach them to respect themselves and respect others, respect the value of life. It starts at home. Let us lead the charge. It's not a gun control issue. That is part of the problem. It is not the issue. And it's not practical to think, with a country of this size, with this many hundreds of millions of people, no president, no congressman, no politician from the left or the right is going to push through a bill to completely outlaw all guns. It is not going to happen. It is not practical to put your time and energy into pushing that cause. It will not happen. We are not England. We are not Australia. We are far more populated, far more spread out, and we are a far more stronger, outspoken nation. It's not going to happen. Put your energies and your efforts into something more realistic, something that can help. Put your time and energy into creating a more inhabitable society where children do not have these thoughts, these feelings, and these urges. We need to fix this from the inside out. We talk about mental health a lot on this podcast. And this is a mental health problem for our children. They don't realize it. They don't have the means or the foresight to go see a therapist, to talk to someone, to work out their problems. They don't have that innate sense. We need to be that innate sense for them. It's breaking my heart to see this happen. We need a change. A change. So that's my piece on that. So thank you. I had to get that out. It's weighing on me. Turn to God. Say a prayer. Ask Him to help you be a stronger, better person, a better parent, a better human being, someone that your children will want to emulate. And if you don't have children, someone that your coworker, your neighbor, the people that see you, somebody that they would want to emulate. One by one, we can make this a better nation and a better society. And as I mentioned, Brian Little, thank you. Thank you for being somebody I can turn to with my questions of faith, with my concerns of faith. When my faith feels strained, it's good to have a brother like you that I can reach out to and who can give me some positive response. I hope each and every one of you have somebody like that in your life, whether you are a faithful person or somebody who just, relies on themselves. I hope that you all have someone that you can turn to voice your thoughts, opinions, worries, whatever it may be, that you can trust and who you can value their feedback. So thank you, Brian. And check out Brian's podcast, by the way. He just did a great podcast talking about the school shootings and his take as a middle school teacher and what he's seeing. It's Your Favorite Blockhead. It's on most of the platforms, Spreaker, SoundCloud. Check it out. It's really good. They're not as long as some of ours, which makes it nice. 20 to 25 minutes, just real concise, real powerful. And he's got a great mind and a great take on stuff, especially from a historical standpoint, because he's a history buff. So check out his show. It's worth your listen. But that's what I got, guys. You heard The Godfather early on, and then I had to get on, and I had to talk to you all about this. So I hope it was worth your time to listen, and hopefully you got something out of it, and hopefully you agree with me, and we start to see some change, because for the sake of my soon-to-be 4 children and the sake of all your families and children out there, they need to feel safe. We need this to be a world that we are glad we brought them into, bottom line. And Joel and I are going to try and get together and do some podcasts together. I mean, obviously that's the goal, that's the moneymaker, that's what got us here. It's been a little tough, part of it being now that he is back in Portland, there's a 3-hour time difference, and kind of just making it work has been a little bit of a challenge, but we'll get back there. We will make it happen. Trying to get some stuff out to you 5 days a week. So, again, thank you all for listening. Again, my heart still goes out to the Florida folks, and now to all the families here in my own neighborhood. It's been rough. I've already had several conversations with the parents in the neighborhood, and everybody's pretty shooken up. So my heart goes out to all of you, and put your faith in God, and just be the person that those around you want to emulate. Till next time, guys, I'm out.